ended up with two teams that were equally matched, but we ran slower the entire event. Instead of 8.5-minute miles, we ran 10-minute miles. Not a big difference, is it? It's a 1.5-minute difference per mile. It's a little number, right? 1.5 minutes doesn't sound like a big deal, does it? Who says no? 1.5 minutes not a big deal, no? Not a big deal. Over 174 miles, it's a pretty big deal. It took us 28 hours to run the race this year. The 4-hour added time was in the 1.5 minutes on each little mile. I bring this whole story up to point you guys to the direction that if your business veers off or slows down or changes just a little bit, it dramatically changes the result. It took us 28 hours this year to finish the race. We placed 82nd out of 150 teams. Big difference, isn't it, in the results off of just a little change at each little piece. So I've been doing this business for 10 years. Here's what my business looks like today. How many of you have ever heard me talk before? Couple folks. Let me just quick tell you before I tell you about my business who I am, just so you get to know me really quick. Is that okay? Yeah. I've been married for the last, 1996 we got married. What is that? 12 years. Good, thank you. Actually, you know what? I got married in 1994. Take that off tape, please. I knew 12 didn't sound right. We're going on 14 years this year. Next year will be our 15-year wedding anniversary, my wife and I. We dated for 5 years before that. I'm 36 years old, and I've been with the same woman, my lovely wife, for 20 years. We have 3 kids. My oldest daughter is Samantha. She's 9 years old. She's a ballet extraordinaire. She loves ballet. She thinks like me. She's very technical. She's very determined. I'm going to make it happen. Ballet is perfect for that. My middle daughter, Georgia, is 7 years old, and she is an absolute athlete. Get out of my way. I love team sports because I'm coming, and I don't care what is in my way. She's coming. Then my son, Nicholas, who's 6, is kind of the class clown. He's just the goofball. He's just all over the place. Those are my 3 kids. And everything that I do in my business and in my life and in everything is for my family and for, giving back. And that's why I'm standing here and why it's a lot of fun. My business looks like this. Are you guys, let me ask you a question. Are you dumb enough to be a real estate investor? Are you dumb enough to be a real estate investor? That's a serious question. It sounds funny, but it's a serious question. Why do I ask it that way? Because real estate investing, guys, is really not complicated. We complicate things because we're humans. Making money in this business is not complicated. Here's what we do. Write this down. This is the realization that I came to over a lot of years of trial and error chasing rabbit trails. This is what my business does. We buy and sell houses, cash or terms. Life-changing, isn't it, guys? We buy and sell houses, cash or terms. Are you dumb enough to be a real estate investor? Okay? You've got to simplify everything that you see in your business and in your life and get back to the point of, wow, this is as complicated as it has to get. Now, when we talk about buying cash or terms, here's what I mean. If you buy for cash, you buy really cheap, really fast for cash. If you buy on terms, you buy at a higher price, really slow with terms. Get it? Cash, really fast, really cheap. Terms, higher price, really slow. That's what we're talking about, aren't we? Now, the mechanical part of this business, the engineering part of the business, comes into play to say, can I recognize which type of deal works on this particular house. Because we're going to get down to, at the end of the day, we're going to have 123 Main Street, and we've got to look at it and say, is this a cash deal or is this a terms deal? Don't we? We've got to ask ourselves, what is the motivation behind the person that needs to sell the house? Notice I didn't say the motivation behind the person that wants to sell the house. How many people want to deal with people that want to sell their houses? How many people have dealt with people that just want to sell their houses, not need to sell their houses? You want to deal with people that absolutely need to sell their houses. There's a motivation, there's a reason, there's something that goes into their core that says, this house is a problem in my life. There's two things that create that. One is a beat-up house, and two is beat-up financing. You've either got a beat-up house or you've got beat-up financing. There's a problem with the house, it's distressed, it's ugly, it's nasty, or you've got beat-up financing, which is going to be somebody has a major issue with behind on payments, pending foreclosure, job transfer, and they're making 2 payments on a house in San Diego and a house in Minneapolis. Those are financial problems and distressed real estate problems. So here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to think really simply about this business, but I want you to also think in context of you're not just a real estate investor. You're a real estate entrepreneur. You're not just an investor. I don't want you to just build something that you can invest in real estate. What I want you to do is I want you to build a business that works for you. And you can do that much easier if you grasp the simple standard concepts that I'm talking about. We buy houses cash or terms. That's as complicated as it gets. Now, there's 3 things that are critical to your real estate investing business. Every real estate investing business that I've ever seen massively successful has these 3 things. I want you to draw a triangle on your notebook. I want you to draw a triangle. And in the lower left corner of that triangle, I want you to draw an arrow in to this triangle. And I want you to write the word deals. In the lower right, I want you to draw an arrow into the triangle, and I want you to write the word cash. Those are 2 critically important parts of your real estate investing business that you have to have. You've got to have deals coming into your pipeline, and you've got to have the funding to close the transaction, don't you? Okay, deals can come in a variety of ways, and we're going to talk about where deals come from, how they come into my business, and what we do with them. We're going to talk about funding sources and where the funding comes from. What do you do with it? Does it have to be your cash? Does it have to be your deal? Good. Most people say yes. It doesn't have to be your anything. Because don't we still have a peak of the triangle? Don't we still have a peak of the triangle? You know what? I want you to draw an arrow that comes in.